Good morning. It is 10:41 a.m. on Saturday, June 18th, 2022. I'm Christiana Ellis and I just got up. This is 5 more minutes. So, was up late, slept in, obviously. Uh, I'm sure that's not coming across on the microphone, but I've got my window in the bedroom opened a little bit, and there is a bird outside who is making sure we all know what he has to say. Or she, I don't know. That's what he has to say. But I don't speak bird, so I don't want to make diminishing it. But probably that translates to, hey, anybody want some of this? Just because that's what birds usually chirp about, is my understanding. Anyway, I'm going to talk about something else. Right. Okay. So what I spent pretty much all evening doing yesterday was watching part 4 of Critical Role Calamity, Exandria Unlimited Calamity, which is a mini series, 4-part mini series that Critical Role has been doing for the last 4 weeks. So this was the conclusion. They've got Brennan Lee Mulligan, who is a DM that does lots of other actual play stuff, usually not affiliated with Critical Role, who is a guest DM, and you've got a slightly different group of players telling a prequel story about a huge historical event in the history of the Critical Role setting. And boy, it was really good. I mean, it was very long. That definitely took most of the evening, and I was also playing more Power Wash Simulator while I watched it. But I was really pleased and impressed with it, and part of what made me feel almost even envious about it is it's interesting to consider the different approaches and different boundaries that you set for a story like this one compared to the ongoing campaign. Because with an ongoing campaign, you have to be prepared for a lot of different things to possibly happen because players make surprising decisions, and sometimes what happens is dictated by the randomness of dice and not even just player decisions. And so sometimes you can prepare a lot of stuff, but you can't necessarily guarantee what's going to happen over the long term. Or for that matter, it happens frequently that you spend a lot of time setting up this whole elaborate dungeon and then the players decide to go somewhere else. Like that happens. And that can be one of the joys of the game, is just the unpredictability of it. But when you have this long-term story going where you're following the characters where they go, and there's a lot of plans for it to extend over a long period of time, you approach that storytelling differently than what you would for Calamity, where a big, huge calamitous event is going to happen, and B, that it's only 4 parts, right? And so you're telling a little self-contained story where big pieces of the ending are known already. And so the decisions to be made then just become about where to put the furniture on the Titanic, so to speak, right? Not that they don't matter to the individual characters, but it's pretty interesting in the way that it allows them, for example, to tell a different kind of story. Because on the one hand, I think we're pretty confident with Critical Role, especially going into Campaign 3. We're not just going to have a TPK one of these days, right? It's just not going to happen. There have been characters that died. But generally speaking, in the D&D setting, there's a lot of ways to bring a character who dies back to life, and that's generally what has happened. There's only really been one exception in all that time, and so that's good for the purposes of that kind of story. But in a mini series about a calamity, that's where maybe it's actually kind of to be expected that you're going to have some of these characters die. That's where you bring out the big guns and light and just go right into the fireworks finale, you know? And I don't know, that was pretty cool, and I really enjoyed that element of it. In any case, I'm going to leave it there. I've got more Root role-playing game tonight, or at least we should be, and I will talk to you all tomorrow for 5 more minutes.